Alright guys, so as you saw in the title, we're going to be putting an ARB Air Locker in the Toyota Hilux Surf or 4Runner behind me. If you don't know already, this is the new project car that we're building. For those who are new to the channel, I urge you to go check out the previous videos on this car and also plenty of other cars that are really pretty cool. This kind of covers a lot of things. We've done a whole build series on a Diff on my custom turbo Commodore Ute, so if you're interested in that, that's a different style of shimming, which we'll go into all this later on when Ben's here and we're actually building the Diff. But you can check that video out up here, I think, or up here. I always forget. But yeah, basically I'm going to strip this Diff down now. Today's Saturday. I've got to go out in probably another 5 hours. Hopefully I've got enough time to strip it all down, clean it, etc. Inspect, hopefully nothing's broken. I don't think it will be because it feels alright. And then Ben's coming tomorrow. So Ben is the expert on this. He's actually done a video on this himself. That was a very, very long night on his driveway. So I'm guessing by the time this video is out, his one will finally have been out. So go check that out if you want as well. But yeah, I'm going to strip this down. I'll give you a quick run through and yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so if you haven't seen in a previous episode, I've done my full custom 3-inch exhaust, full custom BBG spec, TIG welded exhaust with a black ceramic coat. Very nice, sneaky little exhaust cut out there. Very sexy, custom downpipe, all that kind of stuff. So I've just installed that. It is now time to get onto this Diff. So the reason I'm doing this so soon is because, well, I'm one of those guys that it's kind of all or nothing. So, you know, it's pissing out oil, as you can see. That is literally like 5 minutes and it's already pissed out that much. It's pissing out oil. And these Diffs, as a lot of you probably know, you have to actually take the pumpkin out. So this whole center section drops out. Instead of normally, like on some other cars, you can take the backplate off. So to do this gasket, to do it properly anyway, you have to pretty much pull the whole thing apart. So wheels off, axles out, you know, tail shaft off, pull the pumpkin out. So I figured, you know what, I'd ideally like to do an ARB Air Locker. So I think Ben or Brett found me this on Gumtree. Got it for about 800 bucks. About 400 cheaper than brand new, but it is brand new. So we're going to be installing that. We'll go through everything in that tomorrow when Ben gets here. But for now, basically, wheels off, brakes off, axles out, tail shaft off, obviously drain the fluid too, and we'll take this pumpkin out. And one other thing I'll say, another reason why I'm doing it is because all the rear brakes are fucked as well. So it's a perfect time to put some new, we've got new wheel cylinders, drums, and brake shoes. So yeah, why not? Now the tail shaft is off. Just get a bit of string and tie it out of the way. I've just tied it up to this cross member here. Shouldn't be anywhere in the way now, so I guess next thing is drums off, pull these axles out, and we can pull the Diff center out and check everything out. So sometimes these will just pop off, but most of the time you'll see there's two M8 threaded sections here, so I'll have to get some bolts, thread them in, and we'll just lever it off. They're called jacking bolts. So it seems like my handbrake is probably just a little bit too tight and it's binding it up, so I'm going to have to loosen it off on the back here. because that was just kind of distorting. What a prick this one's been, Jesus. I hate drum brakes. I will also add we've got wheel bearings to put in as well, so the full rear end rebuild basically. Okay, well that explains why I had very shit brakes and virtually no handbrake, apart from the shoes being completely worn as well. So the next thing to do, I suggest you take a photo of all this before you go any further and take the handbrake apart if you're doing that. I've already done that. So the next thing I'm going to do is disconnect this handbrake cable, hopefully. Jesus Christ. I don't know what this is in here. I don't know whether it's... Like, it actually looks like grease. But I don't know why the fuck there would be grease coming out of here. So I always like to thread bolts back in where they came out of when I'm doing stuff like this. Most of the time it's pretty obvious, but you know, if you're like me, you kind of leave a job for a few days or a week and come back. You know, sometimes your memory's not that good. Okay, so the next thing is 4 bolts on the back here, which hold this whole backing plate to the axle. So I just crack them loose and undo them. So the next thing, which is actually a pretty shitty design, is because this whole hub comes off with the axle, as you can see there, you have to disconnect your wheel cylinder. So what I always do while it's still in place is crack the nut, and always try and use a proper tube nut spanner, just that little bit extra to grab another flat of the nut. So that's cracked now. Just about. So what I'm going to do is get this to the point where it's not pissing out fluid, but it's enough that I can undo by hand. And now I'll buzz out these 2 10mm bolts that are holding the cylinder in. Okay, so the 2 backing nuts are out for the wheel cylinder, so as you can see, oh geez, she's pretty jammed up, but anyway, hopefully swiftly undo this tube nut for the wheel cylinder. This one's stuck in there, there we go. I'll take this back out. I'll twist this back in, so we're not wasting all my fluid, which we recently just put in when we did the front rebuild, which you can check out in another video. So now this whole assembly comes out, and it's not looking too good. So it looks like this is where all the gunk is coming from. I'll have to check out as we go whether the seal was fucked or not. See a bit of grit on the axle here. It's pretty fucking shitty. So it's probably a very good thing that we're pulling this apart. There's a bit of stuff on here, hopefully. The spines in the diff look okay, nothing twisted, so that's good. What a crud on here. So definitely a good thing that we pulled this apart. Okay, so now it's time to pull out the pumpkin. So most of you probably won't have this problem, but this one has been slazzed up with fucking all kinds of sealants. Looks like we've got a bit of fucking kitchen bathroom silicone here. Might have been some Sikaflex before, and it looked like a bit of roof and gutter as well on top. So we've got all kinds of good shit. It might be a while trying to hack all this shit off. If in doubt, whip the Stanley out, eh? For those of you in America, a Stanley is what us Australians call a box cutter. I'll start out. Okay, that was easier than I was expecting. Rookie error. Oh my god. You wouldn't believe it, it's already got a locker in it. No wonder it's leaking. I think like bits of the gasket are missing here. Oh, there's a good easy like 0.1 mil lip there. Alright, this needs some serious cleaning up. But all in all, it's looking pretty hunky-dory, really. It's kind of annoying that I don't put the drain plug right on the lowest point of the diff, because this awful lot of crud like sitting down on the bottom of the case there. I'll get the bulk of this out, then I'm going to fill this bad boy up with a degreaser and get as much out as possible. When we did Ben's diff, we actually took the whole axle out and he painted it. I will be painting mine, but I'm just going to leave it in place. I honestly can't be fucked doing all that stuff. Alright guys, so here you go. This is a diff. For those of you who don't know. So you got your pinion here, which is I'll get Ben, you'll see this when we're building it in a sec, but basically got your pinion, which turns your ring gear, which is bolted to your diff center. So this is a factory open center, so single spinner, it will only spin one wheel no matter what. We're going to change to an air locker, so flick that on, both wheels are locked all the time, no matter what. My dial indicator, I'm just going to check the backlash on this before I pull this apart and clean it all up, and then yeah. Set the dial gauge to about 1.8 mil of lash. I've written it down so I don't forget. We'll compare it to what the factory specs are meant to be when Ben brings the service manual. Alright, so first up, get rid of these retaining clips which hold the preload adjusters in place. Next up, bearing caps. So very important when you're doing this, before you even go there, check that they've either got an indexing mark or you're going to have to put an indexing mark. So on the other side here I've done a center punch on both the cap and the body, because when these are done from the factory they're bolted down and line board, so they have to be back in that exact same spot or you're going to have all kinds of misalignment issues, probably. But do not take the risk, you need to get that right. So there you go, that is the diff center. Comes out like so. You got your bearings either side, and you're left with the pinion here. Obviously that's what drives the ring gear. So this might be a bit of a prick to get off. Someone's peened this over a fair bit. Give myself half a chance, I'll try peen it back. Overuse of the word peen. It's a bit sus. Looks like it's a 30. There we go. So they shouldn't be really tight because that's basically setting the preload on the bearing in here for the pinion. There's a collapsible spacer in there which you'll see when we rebuild. Oh, it's nice, that pulls off without any effort, which is always nice. Probably a good time to try to get this seal out. There we go. So I'm at the press. So you want to basically get your hand on the pinion because you don't want this to drop when you press it out. So that's only about a ton of pressure. And like so, there is the pinion. And then that is the outboard bearing. And this is an oil slinger. And that actually had a really good suction on it, and I couldn't even get it off before. So the next thing is to just get a pin punch drift. I'm just going to tap this outboard bearing cone out. If all else fails, bring out the bearing kit. There we go. Easy. That's why it pays to have the right tools, that's for sure. Might have to pin punch. It's just a matter of getting it moving. There we go. So bearing cups are out. Clean it all up, give it a coat of paint, and then it's ready to assemble tomorrow. Okay, so now the pinion's out, you're going to have to pull your inboard bearing off. So I highly advise getting one of these style, a split bearing puller. You know, you can buy this in a kit. I think this was on eBay for like 50 bucks or something. Definitely worth it. So basically you just do that, take this over to the press it off. Then we'll go and get these bearings off the carrier, and you might as well unbolt the ring gear as well to grease it all. Alright guys, so I actually tried to use my split puller and it wouldn't actually fit on this. There wasn't enough height here to get between that. So I'm going to have to show you guys how to do it if you don't have one of those, or you don't have one that fits. So you're going to need a grinder, a hammer, and some kind of cold chisel. So first off, we'll cut this outer race off, and then we're going to cut the inner, which is the harder bit. So literally just hack this off. Like so. So now, the harder bit is to cut this off. So basically, to somewhat avoid, if you cut straight, you know, you can only get so much because the blade's curved, so you want to kind of cut across here. See how this goes. When it gets close, because obviously you don't want to go too far and cut through this, you should be able to give it a whack with a cold chisel, except this vise is really shit. And just like that, she's loose. And you can see, didn't nick through anything, so that's good. This pinion's going to need to be machined down most probably to clear the diff body, but you'll see that in the next episode. Alright, so next up we're going to get the ring gear off the diff center. You can see they've got these locking tabs for each of the nuts, which is a pretty cool system. So just kind of got to hit your screwdriver in there and bend it back. Enough, I guess, so you can get a socket. Okay, so some diffs, these are left-hand threads, so opposite to normal, so righty loosey, lefty tighty, but these ones are a standard bolt. So usually I know, like the diff on my ute, they're actually marked with an L on them, so just undo these the regular way, no worries. There we go. So sometimes this will drop right off, other times might need a little bit of heat. a little bit of persuasion. Once you get it to a certain point, you get the screwdriver in there, I guess. Just getting close. So that is your regular Joe diff center. So we won't be needing this, but still in good condition. And I'll show you guys, in case you didn't already know, how to see what ratio it is. Sometimes it's marked on here, but I'll show you. Basically, mark one tooth on the pinion and the ring gear. And then you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 9. Write that down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 41. So we've got 9 and 41. We go 41 divided by 9. So it's a 4.5 ratio. Okay, so the last thing to remove inside the diff, hopefully my head doesn't get in the way, is you've got these little deflector things in the axle here. So you're trying to get the bottom one off, like so, and the top one follows. And then just like that, it comes out. I'm going to take all this out, clean all this thoroughly, because the last thing you want to do is put a nice new diff center in and have some kind of crud stuck in there. Goes back through, fucks that diff center again. It's happened to me, and a professional diff shop did that, so this is why I do all my own diffs now. So you can see inside the axle tube here, guys, there's a whole heap of crud. I can't tell whether it's rust or whether it's dirt or I don't know, but it's not good, so I'm going to have to degrease all that, get something like a bit of rag on a stick, push it in there, clean it all out thoroughly, let all this soak overnight. And this side looks the same as well. Alright guys, the battery's about to run out, but hopefully you found that very useful for pulling down your diff and axle. Stay tuned for the next video. We're going to rebuild this properly with a pro. So we've already done this to Ben's car, so it should be a walk in the park. A lot easier than other diffs because they've got the adjustable shims, but we'll show you all that in the next episode, so we'll see you then.
When the hands of fate fall on the